Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Factory. I'm Eddie C, and together with my co-host Peter D, we're going to bring you in touch with people in and around the music business. This is the podcast that takes you up close and personal. Hi everybody, and welcome again to TRFP, the Rhythm Factory podcast. My name is Eddie C, and to my far right, we got over here Mr. Peter D, my co-host.
Hello.
And our guest for today is a very nice and talented bass player, but also a great photographer since some time. And his name is René Dissel. We know each other also from way back when, before you had all the hair, man. You want to tell a little bit about yourself to the public?
Yeah, okay, where to start?
Go with the flow.
The flow. Okay, but what would you like to know?
Or just what are you busy
About
with?
music.
Yeah, well, music, your musical things, your photography things. I mean, just tell a little bit about what you're busy with at the moment.
How I started it, or
Yeah, well, just in general, because we'll get to the other questions.
Okay. Yeah, well, I started with music when I was 11 with classical guitar.
Okay.
And took some lessons, and after a while, a friend of mine was playing also electric guitar in a band, and he left his bass guitar at my place, and I started playing on the bass, and I felt more comfortable with the bass, and that's where it started. And after a while, it was getting more serious, and I studied conservatory jazz and pop music.
Yeah. Right. We kind of like ran into each other over the years.
Yeah,
in the jam sessions.
Gigging all over the place, and with a lot of different in a lot of different settings.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, you now being a photographer and a bass player, do you have like a preference? Because I remember there was a time when I only knew you basically as bassist, and then I saw you some years later by a project we were doing together with I think it was actually with classical piano player we've had in our show with Mariette.
Yeah.
And you were playing. You were going to play bass in one of those on that project as well. And then all of a sudden you were saying, "Well, I'm also doing a lot with photography now."
Yeah.
How did it all come about? I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I at a certain moment. Well, actually, it's gradually going. It's a slow process. I played a lot in a lot of different settings, and after a while, photography started while I was touring with a band in the United States.
Okay, which band was that?
That was with Praful. Praful. He's a saxophone player, and we toured there a lot. He got a #1 hit in the jazz charts.
Okay.
So
wow,
we toured a lot there, and then I was picking up my camera again after a long way back, and just for fun, just for documenting the tour and everything I met on the way. So one of the pictures I sent in to National Geographic just for fun. And I won the first prize with it.
Oh, that's
fantastic.
Nice. That's fantastic. Man.
Yeah, and
that's great.
From there off, photography started getting more serious.
Okay.
And
you would think so after something. And,
and sometimes it's hard when it's interfering each other.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to choose. Shall I do some gigs or? I have also gigs in photography now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, we call it a luxury problem.
But do you sure. Well, there's nothing wrong with having a luxury problem, man.
No, but sometimes it's hard to choose which way shall I. But there is another thing, because the other thing is I was getting health problems.
Okay.
And it has a lot to do with my energy, which was low. And when you work too much, and then the batteries are running
burns
empty.
up. That's right. They say no deposit, no return.
Yeah.
You know,
And I had all the symptoms of, they call it burnout.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I had really to chop in my schedule with playing, because that's very irregular job and late night, and so I have to
cut down
the
hours you work. Yeah.
We got one. Oh, you want?
Yeah. Well, I wanted
go ahead.
to dive into this because besides photography and playing the bass, I mean you're a great bass player, but you're also a very skilled teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You teach at 2 conservatories and 1 music school, I believe.
One conservatory in Haarlem.
Yeah. And
1 music school. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's in Amersfoort.
Yeah.
And over the years, your focal point became more on teaching, actually, instead of playing.
Yeah.
And you even declined a lot of beautiful gigs because you just didn't want to do them.
Yeah. Can
you explain a little bit more about it? I mean, besides the health problems, I also know that you say, I only want to do the things that I really like.
Yeah. That's true. Well, then I have to go back, because I started with music because I loved music and had passion for playing music. And when you develop yourself as a professional musician, you cannot always choose you cannot be selective.
Right.
Not too selective, because you also have to pay the rent. And,
you gotta make a living. Yeah.
You know everything about it.
Yeah.
So that's also a thing.
Yeah. That's why I recall that you declined a tour with the Bus Brothers, for instance.
Yeah.
Once. And
last time.
Yeah, last time. And, a lot of people probably will say, wow, man, you got some beautiful offers, and still you say, no, man, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And you choose to teach, and you choose to put yourself on the photography side.
Yeah.
Is that something, is playing gigs something that maybe you will stop doing eventually?
No, I don't know. I don't say that. So.
Still.
But not in the way I did as a more
professional.
Yeah.
But you're still a diehard inside.
Oh yeah, the passion for music never dies.
No.
I was going back over into. I know outside of your teaching and your photography, are you busy with any other projects? I know you have a strong love for art in general.
Yeah, that's true. For other projects in music or
or music or a combination of both, because what I wanted to ask you actually before Peter came in with the other question was, you ever combine both of your talents together in anything? Because it's actually as beautiful as a photographer. You can take pictures and then you can intertwine this, your music talents with it as well. I don't know, maybe in combination with CD covers or something.
Oh yeah,
like that.
I did some photography for CD covers for different bands. So, and also. Did some photography at concerts.
Okay.
And theater things.
Yeah,
and then it's coming in handy if you know music.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, the inspiration, for example. Do you have like moments where you see a beautiful setting, picture-wise, and you say, I'd like to take that, because we were in Ireland together.
Yeah,
remember back when together with Forrest and all. It was a fantastic time, and we saw the Paps.
Sure.
The Paps are actually 2 hills that if you're in the southern part of Ireland, They look like a big set of breasts from off the distance if you're in a car.
It's very nice view.
Yeah. So we're driving, and I remember we had this female chauffeur, and we all had these long leather coats, so we looked like we were coming out of a Western cowboy movie, you know. And the lady says, "Oh, they're here, and they have long coats on. Wow!" And we hopped in the car, and then we saw the Paps, and we said, "Hey, look at that!" And yeah, those are the Paps. And we all said, "Stop the bus." We got out of the bus. Everybody who had a camera, you had one of these nice big professional cameras. We had all our little click clocks. We were all out on the side of the road like a bunch of tourists. We were tourists, in fact, to take pictures. And I remember we had such a great time, man. We were in this small bed and breakfast, very nice people, and the gig was like about 50 meters away.
In a church.
In this church. Yeah. But they had some of the greatest whiskey and where was we had whiskey with tea or coffee or a special. They made it. Yeah. It was warm. They served it. Because I remember we were sitting there drinking this whiskey. I said, "Man, we still have a gig to do that." Yeah. But getting back to the question at hand is that how inspirational. No, not the breast. But getting back to the question, your inspiration for example, a setting or a picture when you like looking and you want to take a shot, and your music, does that overlap with each other, or do you say I see a picture and I get an idea for a song, or that I'm playing a particular song and I can picture the kind of setting I would like to to photograph around it?
Yeah, sure. Now there are a lot of similarities between those. Yeah, they're both are creative things to do, and photographing is for me it's the first thing that comes to mind is timing.
Yeah,
because everything has to do with timing.
Tell you about it, man. It's all about timing.
It's all about timing.
Yeah.
But also composition and interacting with, for instance, when I have to shoot portraits, you have to interact with the person, and you cannot play music in your cocoon. You have to interact with each other.
Sure.
And that's, for me, that's the most important thing. And you can create an atmosphere also in both things, so in photography and music.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of similarities. And experimenting also, improvising, and do things intuitively. But you have to exercise and start with the basics. So I also started with with music. I started on a 4-string bass guitar, and with photography I started with film, analog, just pure to learn the basics. And nowadays a lot of things are digital.
Yeah, right.
Also here in the studio, and I talked to Patrick, who was before me with the interview, and he was very proud to say he uses a Studer 24-track recorder.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so the purity of the analog machines you can use, and like in photography and in music, they add some magic,
some richness to it.
It's a warm, fat sound, and it's also with photography it's the same story. You have more dynamics, and that's what you can use. And with playing, when you actually play, you use the same dynamics. And you need the right instrument for it.
That right color. It's the right coloring, in fact. It's a musical color, in fact, that you went with the music, and the lighting is something that's sort of, I guess you would say, depending on what your ISO and everything is. That's sort of like how I guess you would look at, say, this is the color we're going to use for
how fast you shoot.
Yeah.
Yesterday I took a shot that was 16 minutes, 16 minutes long.
Wow.
So that's to blur clouds and have movement in the picture. So it gives a different atmosphere. But sometimes you have to choose for a fast shutter time,
right?
Because with people moving fast, and you have to. Right. And it's the same with the music. It's the same. It's all about timing.
That's nice, when you, all the aspects that you tell us about from photography. We talk about it with a project we have. When we teach bass players and drummers how to play together in different musical situations. Mainly in a band they have together. But we also discuss those same things. And I hear them from you right now, and it's exactly the same. But I have a question, mainly for bass players, I guess. What is your opinion about, how you prepare or anticipate or work with all those different drummers over the years? How did you do that?
How did I do that? Drinking a lot.
There's a story behind that, as you would say in Ireland.
No, serious. But how do you cope with that? You mean you play with different drummers, and everybody has a natural kind of timing or feel, and sometimes you don't have to think about it. I play with a drummer, and okay, voila, it's there. I don't have to think. But sometimes you feel or you hear that somebody is going.
The tempo is changing.
Yeah,
it's not steady.
The tempo is changing, or he has more drive into his playing. It's always in front of the beat. So and then I'm going to compensate that if necessary to
balance it out.
To balance it out, so you're adapting to the drummer's playing, and he also, I guess, how I play.
That would be nice, of course, if the two of you would both anticipate on each other.
Try to find each other, and sometimes it's like this, and sometimes it's like more like this. So.
But you're both responsible for the time and the feel and basically the whole fundament for the band.
Yeah.
Have you been in situations where it was you were not able to make it work with a drummer, or do you always find a way to make it happen?
Yeah, yes, I always try to do my best to make it happen, but sometimes it's not holdable, or how do you say it? It's then he's on another planet, and I cannot adapt to that. So that's another way, and then you have to decide to find your way somewhere to meet. Also, so it's always kind of adapting. But I played with a drummer. He played very laid back. Every groove was so laid back, and I didn't understand it. It was years ago, luckily. And you have to listen and to try to understand what is happening. And after a while, after 2 songs, I thought, okay, that's where he is. And now I'm understanding, and it was really nice, because when I felt that, I thought, wow, I can play this groove for 2 hours long, because it's so nice.
Right.
So that's a discovery of some feel or groove, or how you say it.
You got to go with that flow.
You go in that flow. Before we go, man, we like to always ask our guests if they've been through some kind of funny or strange situation in their career, and if you want to tell us a little bit about it, or one of the stories. I'm sure there must be many stories for you as well.
Yeah,
just like most musicians.
Thinking about it, and I could write a book about it. But now I'm thinking about quite a story. I played with Praful in the States, in Oakland, and we were the first band on the festival, and in Oakland, and I was behind the stage, and there was a man with a dog, black Labrador, and I had also a Labrador, so we start talking to each other. Nice dog, and it was nice, and okay, and then we went into the city house. It was the square, and there in the city house, and he also went with his dog, and he was feeding our sandwiches to his dog. So man. I didn't say anything because maybe it's normal in the States that you do that with your dog. Okay, but 15 minutes before we had to play, I was picking my bass and playing, and then something jumped off my bass. There was a spring which held the saddle.
Okay, the string. For the strings.
The screw and the spring were gone.
Oh wow!
We were all over the floor looking for it. We couldn't find it. And then this guy came, and he said, "Okay, walk with me." And we ran to the nearest music shop.
Right.
And when we came in, everybody looked at him and thought, "Oh wow!" And he said, "Yeah, he needs this thing for his bass." And 4 guys were searching for it, and they had it.
Okay.
And we ran back. I put it in my bass.
Right.
And I immediately went on stage and count off and play.
Right, yeah.
And after the gig, I heard that he was the former governor of California.
Oh wow!
Okay. So I thought, now I understand.
So you got a little political help there.
But the dog is used to eating sandwiches all the time.
In the city house.
Right. As long as he didn't bite, huh?
Yeah.
And afterwards I understand, that's probably why all the guys in the shop were, okay, what can we do for you? Maybe.
Important guy.
Oh well, that's funny.
So it was all on time that you fixed the bass, right? And it was all on time for the show.
It was right on time. I fixed it and went on stage and.
Amazing.
It's all about timing, huh? Speaking of time, we have to cut our time short, but we want to thank you for coming on our podcast. And,
thank you for having me.
It's good to see you after such a long time.
Yeah.
Great.
Sure.
That was it for this week on the Rhythm Factory podcast. We'd like to thank our crew, Gijs and Frank behind the cameras, and Ramona does the pictures for us, and we want to thank Charles, who's sort of catching the guests, who does the promotion for us with the Facebook. Speaking of which, any questions or any information you want to know about this very talented friend of mine here, you can go to our Facebook page, and that's the Rhythm Factory podcast, or you can write us an email if you have questions, or maybe even are in the industry, might want to come on our show one time, and you can write us at the Rhythm Factory podcast at gmail.com. That was it for this week. Remember, music is about timing and making a balance. Thanks again. My name is Eddie C. My colleague, Mr. Peter Dorp, or Peter D, as we would say, and our special guest, Mr. René Dissel. See you next time. Ciao.